How important is enthusiasm? If you focused your entire teaching practice around increasing enthusiasm for a week, what do you think would happen? If you tried to really just only focus improvement in that one area, do you think it would make a difference? Last year, I did an experiment. I started every single class like a YouTuber for 30 days. You know the YouTube intro, the classic YouTube intro where they're like, "What's up, guys?" And they're like really energetic in front of the camera. It's very common. In fact, as a media technology teacher, it's something that I am looking at all the time and trying to think about whether or not I actually want to talk to my students about that style and what it is. But I digress a little bit. I tried to starting off the class with that really excited, "What's up, guys?" mentality. What would happen if I just did that? And I did it for 30 days, and I found incredible results. I found higher engagement, and that led to higher achievement. And all just because the only thing I really focused on changing during that entire month was just starting class off more enthusiastic. A few things happened. One, my physical body changed because as I was getting all excited and saying, "What's up, guys?" my arms were wider, and that brought some physical change in my enthusiasm. Another thing that I think happened is that it got me more excited and it tapped into what I am excited about. That's the thing that's funny about teachers. We get so bogged down in the day in, day out grind. But it's not that inside of us we don't want to be enthusiastic. It's not like we don't actually love our jobs. It's not like we don't actually love the kids. At least I do. It's that we get bogged down in the grind, and then it's really hard for us to carry that enthusiasm through the year. So my thought in the middle of the year was, what if I just forced myself to? Before I let kids walk in the door, it's obviously pre-COVID, I just stopped, I paused, and I told myself, this is what's gonna happen when they walk in the door. I'm gonna be YouTuber status, that type of energy. And you know what? It made a huge difference for the students, but it made an even bigger difference for me because it helped me tap into that energy that's inside of me already. I already love my kids. I already love my content. I love learning. So all I was doing by getting all pumped up and excited was tapping into what's already inside of me, that excitement that I already have for teaching. And that made a huge difference. I think that's actually the reason that I saw increases in student engagement and student achievement, because I was different. It made a huge difference. Now, as teachers, I am a firm believer that the best teachers are teachable teachers. They're teachers that look at themselves first when something goes wrong in the classroom, rather than looking at a student and saying, that student, they just can't handle this, or that student, their parents haven't raised them well enough. Rather than doing that, it's always looking inward and saying, what could I have done better as an educator, as the one adult in the room, mind you, what could I have done better to have made this situation in some way improved? Many years ago, after my first or second year of teaching, I got to see this guy, Dave Burgess, who wrote this book, Teach Like a Pirate. He's now written a bunch of other books as well. I've read Teach Like a Pirate a few times. It's a fantastic book. I really enjoy it. But I saw him in person, and I saw an energy in him that I'd never seen in another teacher before. None of my teachers were like this. It was a different kind of energy. There's a reason he was Teacher of the Year in San Diego so many times. So I thought, I can do that. I brought it to the elementary level. I brought this energy and this enthusiasm to my elementary students, and they ate it up. They absolutely loved it. They were with me, they were focused, they were engaged, and every single day I just brought energy as much as I absolutely could, as much as I could muster up. I was just energetic, and not even necessarily a directed or guided energy. It was just energy. It wasn't even necessarily enthusiasm toward learning. I was a new teacher and I was just learning, but I just knew I wanted to be enthusiastic and energetic, right? Well, what I found is when I transitioned that same mentality to middle school, it backfired. Middle school students thrived on my energy, and then it created more chaos in the classroom. And they couldn't handle taking all of the energy I was throwing at them, but then also be structured and have routines and have procedures in the classroom. It just didn't jive well. So when I did this YouTube thing, I kind of expected that to happen again. I kind of expected, hey, I'm gonna do this thing for 30 days. By the way, that video is on my channel, you can watch it. And I just thought, hey, let's just see what happens. But I wasn't really optimistic about it. I kind of thought it wasn't gonna go super well, and I was wrong. So that led me to ask the question. I was talking about this last week with a colleague, which is why it's on my mind. Why did it work with the start class like a YouTuber, but it wasn't working when it was all about energy? And I think two things. One, my focus was different. I'm going to get into that in a second. My focus was more directed. But two, I think it was also a little bit tamer. I was high energy at the beginning of class. So as they're coming in, I'm highly enthusiastic, so excited to see them, so excited for us to learn today. But once I got into the meat of the core instruction, I was able to calm myself down enough to be energetic and enthusiastic, but also be structured and focused and be able to manage the procedures and manage the classroom. So it was a balance. It was starting off with a ton of energy and enthusiasm, which got their attention, woke them up, whatever, but then also being able to calm down enough not to lose the enthusiasm for the content, but to focus that enthusiasm into something deeply meaningful. Now, let's talk about the focus, because I said I was going to get there. I ended up focusing my energy in two places, and I think this is what I missed as an elementary school teacher. I think I missed this specific direction of my energy. I focused my energy into these two places: enthusiasm for content, or learning, rather, and enthusiasm for students. So what worked with my YouTube video thing is as kids came in, as they walked into the classroom and they trickled in, our school, we didn't have them line up and then kind of all come in at once. It was like we wanted students out of the halls. So we would take them in and they would have an extended amount of warm-up time the earlier they came to class, right? So as they're coming in, I'm enthusiastically, good morning, blank person's name. It is so good to see you. I'm so happy you are in class today. One, that really convicted me because it caught me. There were so many times where I don't have that attitude. There are times that even when students walked in, I'll be totally transparent with you, I didn't want to welcome them that way. I didn't have this feeling inside of me of this bubbly, oh yeah, it's so good to see you, right? But I forced myself to do it anyways. And in doing it, it changed the way that I thought about it, because I recognized, man, these are just children. And how different they acted just based on the way that I greeted them. It really made me feel bad for the times that I have not been that enthusiastic with greeting them, because it really is wonderful to have them at school. So the second thing I focused on was enthusiasm for learning. So now that students are in the room and I'm ready to start my core instruction, I just started off with real passion and enthusiasm for what I was learning, and I had to just pick, there's got to be something that I love about this. So I picked one thing every single day in every single class. Pick one thing that I'm gonna go off about, that I'm just so excited. Guys, this is so cool. It's gonna blow your minds when you see how amazing this is. And having that one thing picked out that's true, it's honest, it's not me faking it, it's not fake it till you make it. It's true and genuine. But forcing myself to do it is the big kicker. So why am I talking about this on this Try It Tuesday? Well, for me, I need to get back into that. Last week, as I was reflecting, I do this. This is why this video exists. I sit here and talk to a camera every day to force myself to reflect. And while I was reflecting last week, I was reminded of both how I began teaching with that type of mentality, that Dave Burgess type of mentality, and then how I adapted it for middle school to kind of fit the students that I was working with and the structures and routines I was trying to implement while also trying to bring in passion. And then that, of course, that YouTube class startup experiment that I ran. And I was reminded of how valuable that experiment was to me and how much I learned during that time. So, my encouragement to myself today, what I'm telling myself as I stare in this camera lens is, Nate, you need to focus, you need to get back on that horse and you need to focus on intentionally pushing enthusiasm for content and for children, for those students as they're in whatever, the virtual classroom, if you're doing hybrid learning, if you're fully in person, it doesn't matter. Push that enthusiasm for both content and people, those humans that are in your room. And I'm gonna go for it this week. That's what my Try It Tuesday is all about.